Chet Chat is underwritten by the Law Office of Tim L. Fields and GalleryOsborne.com.
Hi, I'm Chet Pourciau, and welcome to a new and exciting episode of Chet Chat. This month, we're focusing on the Jazz and Heritage Festival, a favorite of locals and tourists from all around the world. Jazz Fest is a celebration of Louisiana culture. We have with us today Don Marshall, the Executive Director of the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation. We also have this year's Jazz Fest poster artist, my friend and New Orleanian Terrence Osborne. And for our ever popular DIY segment, we have local artist E. Paul Julian. Finally, we can't forget about Mom. So NOLA Pie guy Nate Winter is here with some great Mother's Day treats. And I'll show you how to set the perfect Mother's Day tea. This is gonna be an exciting show, so let's get started. Don Marshall, Executive Director of the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival is here. Don, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about the Jazz Fest and exactly what is your foundation all about?
Well, it's an amazing operation. The foundation was begun really in 1970 with Jazz Fest, and the visionaries who put together the first Jazz Fest thought of the whole organization as a nonprofit. And really we're unique in the United States for a cultural arts organization that's a nonprofit that has such a wonderful event as Jazz Fest, but also then generates revenue that we reinvest in our community through numerous programs throughout the year.
Tell us about those programs.
Well, over the last, I would say 25 years, our board members have, who are also very committed to the community, have looked at issues within our community. And we have, over the years, initiated loan programs, housing programs. We have a wonderful Don Jameson Heritage School of Music at Dillard, which is a free music education program. We have an enormous community partnership grant program that helps fund nonprofit organizations, individual artists. We give away close to $500,000 a year. And then actually since Katrina, we have evolved what was a neighborhood festival program into some major festivals, music festivals throughout the year. We have a blues festival, a Cajun Zydeco festival. Recently we did a wonderful Congo Square festival, which attracted record crowds. We also do a Treme Creole Gumbo Festival, which employs musicians, allows our vendors opportunities. So we see ourselves as a major force in economic development in the community, particularly the cultural arts.
Which is great because when I think of the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, I only think of Jazz Fest. But it's good to know that you guys do a lot more stuff than just Jazz Fest.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because some people say, well, nobody knows who we are. Because of Jazz Fest, but to me it's like, wow, Jazz Fest, what more do you want in life? But it's true. I mean, year round, we're also, we are WWOZ Radio as a foundation and stuff. So again, taking the resources of Jazz Fest, which are tremendous, and then reinvesting throughout the year. And the people who are engaged in those programs know who we are.
Right.
But when you have something like, you know, Jazz Fest, it's like Mardi Gras. Everybody thinks of that first, and they don't realize the year-round programming, you know, that we do to really impact this community.
So tell us the dates of Jazz Fest.
Well, Jazz Fest, we start on a Friday. It's always the last weekend in April, first weekend in May. So this year, Friday 27th, we have a great lineup for the first weekend. It's our 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The second weekend, we have Thursdays, which has a wonderful school day program where we bus in around 4,000 school kids. So we have a huge lineup both weekends. We're setting you know, records with sales for tickets and everything. There's constantly changes in our lineup, and some real exciting ones that will be announced soon, even this close.
Right, you can't tell us.
Well, we have one coming up pretty soon that I think is going to be pretty exciting. But recently, you know, like we had Jill Scott, one of my favorite performers. Jill was scheduled to be in a movie, so she had to cancel. And luckily, CeeLo Green was available.
Right.
So it's interesting how some of the replacements that we have this year are superstars. So this year also Bruce Springsteen is a really big one.
Yes, that's going to draw a lot of attention.
Yeah, huge attention, huge crowds. And we had Jazz Fest scheduled, totally booked and everything. And Bruce wanted to play Jazz Fest.
That's
so
great.
his manager contacted us. We had to do some negotiations, figure out what we do, look at the budget and everything. And the response has been tremendous. He has a huge following on the East Coast and West Coast. So, you know, for this year's Jazz Fest, the hotels are booked, airlines are booked, you know, and just that impact on the community. From the restaurants, the galleries get more visitors, the shops get more visitors and stuff. So Jazz Fest brings in a unique audience to this city.
Yeah, that's what I want to touch on. So when people think of Jazz Fest, of course they think of the music. But if you go to Jazz Fest, there's a lot of other things you can get involved in, right, besides just the music. Tell us a little bit about what else is there at Jazz Fest to see.
Well, that's the magic of Jazz Fest. I think the people who come to Jazz Fest, you know, mainly for the music, they read about it, they come to Jazz Fest, and then all of a sudden they're in the world's greatest food festival. I mean, the food that is out at Jazz Fest is unequal anywhere in the world and stuff.
So it's all local restaurants that
Louisiana restaurants, a lot of seafood. We have restaurants from, you know, the Lafayette area, Baton Rouge area, but it really gives you a unique look and taste. I mean, I've gone to Jazz Fest sometimes and just made it a food festival. Okay, I'm going here to eat this po' boy or whatever. Also, the craft area, contemporary crafts. We have the contemporary craft area. We have an amazing Congo Square marketplace. We have a Louisiana marketplace where crafts that really focus on Louisiana culture. So there are hundreds of vendors, artisans who really wait for Jazz Fest because the crowd exposure is so good, the sales are good. And then, of course, really the highlight are the posters.
Right.
And those have become such a collector's item, and that we've been able to really work with some of the most talented visual artists in the community, particularly this year.
Yes, and especially my friend Terrence Osborne, who did the official poster this year. I think that's one of the best that I have ever seen.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
So, Don, thank you so much for being here on the Chet Chat Show. I wish you guys luck this year. I'll be out there.
Great. We'll see you there.
Okay. Guys, for more information on Jazz Fest, you can go to their website at www.jazzinheritage.org. So my next guest is local artist and my friend Terrence Osborne to share with us some exciting news. Terrence, welcome back.
Thank you, Chet.
So the last time you were here on the Chet Chat Show, I tried to get you to reveal something at the end of the show, but you wouldn't do it. So we thought we'd had to have you back on here to tell us the exciting news. Tell us your exciting news.
Well, this year I got called for the Jazz Fest poster, so I'm doing the official Jazz and Heritage Festival poster for 2012.
Congratulations. That's a huge honor. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I still have butterflies every time I think about it, you know. But this is my third one.
Oh, this is your third poster.
This is my third. And the thing is, there are two posters. One is the Congo Square poster, which is usually given to the emerging artists. Then there's the official Jazz Fest poster, is usually given to the established artists. So my two first posters were Congo Square poster, emerging artist posters, but this is my first official Jazz Fest poster. So.
And when was the emerging artist posters? What years were those?
That was 2007. Rebirth, it was the subject, and that one's the best-selling emerging artist poster ever. And then 2010 was Uncle Lionel, the Treme brass band. So this year is Trombone Shorty.
And tell me a little bit about Trombone Shorty and the connection there with the poster you did.
Well, you know, the artist is asked to do the poster, and then is told what subject he's going to paint. So that wasn't my choice. But of course, you know, we all love Trombone Shorty.
Right.
And he grew up in Treme, so did I. He went to NOCA, and so did I. So he was.
Did you guys know each other?
We didn't know each other. You know, we were like 10 years apart, something like that. But it made it easy to paint him.
Right.
You know. So I painted him snug in a Treme, kind of a generic Treme neighborhood, and as he's playing, the neighborhood is bending to his note.
Gotcha.
So and the poster's doing well. It's already selling pretty well.
I'm sure it's going to do extremely well. Yeah. So you actually took Trombone Shorty and your signature art and you kind of combined them together. Tell us a little bit about your signature art. How do you paint? What's your medium? How do you do it?
I paint on wood, on birch wood, and I love color. So
that's one of the things I love about your work is that you're not afraid to use color. Sometimes people, even in design, what I do, are afraid to use color, but you're really great with the use of color.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't always like that, but every painting is an experiment in color. I still don't do it. I still don't know what colors I'm going to use until I get there. It's almost an intuitive process. But I know how, I guess I go on how it feels.
Right.
So each one's different.
Whenever you were notified that you were going to do the Jazz Fest, official Jazz Fest poster, what went through your mind? What were you thinking?
I guess I was a little slow to react.
Really?
Because in my mind, when I did the first two posters, I was doing the official poster. That's how I looked at it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they did so well. But it was, I don't know, I got excited gradually.
Gotcha.
Then I was like, whoa, this is the official Jazz Fest poster. Well, to get a call to do the Jazz Fest poster is wonderful because, I mean, we're talking national exposure, worldwide exposure. Everybody around you can go to any part of the world and find the Jazz Fest poster.
Right.
And it's the highest grossing festival poster in the world.
Really?
And Jazz Festival is the highest grossing jazz festival in the world.
In the world?
In the world, yeah.
So people come from all around the world to come to Jazz Fest, and you said, it's a huge honor for you to be able to do the official poster.
Oh yeah.
So the colors that you used, did you have already something in mind, the colors that you were going to use, or once you started, then it kind of evolved?
Yeah, I always start off not knowing. As a matter of fact, if I do a commission, someone commissions me to do something, I never give them a colored sketch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's going to be different when I get to the original anyway. So it's always a black and white sketch. It's just I have to decide when I get there what colors work better. I might feel differently when I get to the painting from when I was at the sketch.
Is there some colors that you gravitate toward more than others?
Yeah, greens and yellows, mostly. Yeah.
And so all of your kids, you were telling me the last time, a lot of your kids are also artists. Tell us a little bit about your family and those kids, how they have come to become artists like you.
Yeah. Well, I have 3 kids. My oldest, he's already started selling his artwork.
Oh, really?
Yeah. LT. Then my middle kid, Seth, he's 11. He has artwork. Even my 9-year-old, they all have artwork hanging in the house.
Really?
And so they're artists, even whether they think they are or not. And my wife's an artist too, though she's more of the business side of the business.
Yeah.
But if they decide that's what they want, then they'll at least know how to do it. Who knows where they're going to go?
Right. And do you encourage that? Because you're a pretty successful artist. So do you encourage that and try to tell them, this is a great career. I'm really extremely happy doing what I love, but then you basically get paid for it. So
well, I don't have to do a lot of encouraging because they see it. I'm at home. I don't have a gallery building that I'm tending to, and I'm there all the time. They're part of the whole process from the business end to seeing me working in the studio. They're in the studio working with me on something, they're painting. I think there are 2 kinds of artists. One who has to be away and go in a room, closes himself off and work, and you don't see him until it's done.
Right.
Then there's the artist who needs to be in the environment and know what's going on. I'm like that. I like my family to be around.
That's great.
It's funny because at our house, I have one of the first rooms that you get to when you walk into the house, and it's not the middle of the house, but it feels like it because the stairs are right at the front door, so I can hear what's going on upstairs
Gotcha.
and what's
down.
going on downstairs. So I mean, it's just I have to be. I have to know what's going on. I can't close myself off. You know?
Gotcha.
So
That sounds like a fun family house.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So you're going to be at Jazz Fest both weekends.
Yeah.
Tell us where you're going to be and where people can see this amazing poster and see more of your work.
I'll be in Congo Square at Jazz Festival both weekends. I'll have my own booth. And Congo Square is pretty much in the middle of Jazz Festival. I'll be near the walkway. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. And I'll have everything out there. I'll even have this Jazz Fest original and a bunch of other originals and prints, something everybody can afford.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So I know this is like a huge accomplishment and a huge thrill for you to be able to have this poster. But what's next for you? Where do you see yourself, in the near future?
Well, my wife asked me that question this morning.
Oh, really?
And I know. I don't quite know. I mean, this has been a ride for me.
Right.
And I'm always surprised at what I get. I know how I feel about what I want.
Right.
And I'm not slowing down anytime soon. So, it's kind of a general answer.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I'd rather it be that, because then I'm open to everything.
Well, listen, once again, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy about all your success, and I see a lot more success from you. You're such a good person, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. So guys, for more information on Terrence and his work, you can go to www.galleryosborne.com. We'll be right back. Next, we have Jazz Fest artist E. Paul Julian here with us. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks, Ed.
So tell me a little bit about you, the artist, E. Paul Julian.
Okay, well, I'm a photographer, mixed media artist. I mean, I've been doing mixed media art and photography. First, I started off in photography back like 15 years ago.
Right.
And after Hurricane Katrina, I sticked over to mixed media art.
Why did you decide to switch over from one medium to the next?
Oh, well, switched over. I loved photography, but to do photography requires a lot of equipment, like an enlarger. You had to have a darkroom. You need space and so forth. And I had that, and I loved photography. Every day I would go out and photograph people, and I'd come back with negatives and develop them in this space. And then I'd enlarge prints, 16 by 20, whatever size was needed. But of course, Hurricane Katrina blew the roof off our house. Like it did to a lot of artists, it destroyed that space for me that I needed to create. And when I lost that space, when I heard that we couldn't come back for 3 months, I felt like I felt like I had lost something. I felt like photography had abandoned me.
Right.
So I felt like, that's not going to work for me, because I need art. And, creating stuff and creating art is a type of self-expression for me. So I felt like I needed to do something. So I had taken some images with me when we left, and I just kind of started ripping those images up and putting them on paper and using paint. And by doing that, I discovered a new medium. I discovered mixed media, and it was a relief, and it was also something rewarding. And I felt like I had discovered a new medium that I could take with me wherever I was. I didn't need a darkroom. I didn't need a camera to create.
So when did you decide that you had this artistic ability?
Well, actually, it was like a year before I decided to be a photographer. I was in a relationship, and unfortunately, this person was just getting divorced. Real tough story.
Right.
Yeah, but basically, to make it short, it was a near-death experience for me.
Really?
I survived. I survived several gunshot wounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, because of her past relationship, and because at that point I discovered how quickly life can end and be taken away from you. I decided I needed to do something with some serious purpose and meaning to me. I decided I needed to pour my energy into something. I've always been very energetic, and I was thinking and kind of wandering around, looking for something and trying to find something that I could really relate to. And ever since I was a kid, I loved the camera.
Right.
I loved photography. I loved capturing images. I loved going to different places and capturing things. And photography was just something that I could really relate to. And then when I got into the darkroom and started developing images and seeing the magic being created in front of me, it was very consoling for me. It was it was something that I could really use as kind of a starting point to heal, to get through with things. And it's also, I discovered it was because I have quite a bit of history in my family. My grandfather invented the sugarcane planting machine, and my great-great-grandfather was...
Wait, your grandfather invented the sugarcane planting field? My mom grew up on the sugarcane plantation in
Oh, really?
Pourciau. Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you brought us today to show us, you know, how you develop your artwork.
Okay, well today what I brought you here, this is a substrate that has gold leaf on it. It's gilding, people call. And actually, you know, mixed media brought me to this because I decided I wanted to try something new besides just being in a darkroom. So this is a substrate, a board that I had made by a good friend of mine, Bruce. He's a carpenter, but he makes really, really nice boards, as you can see. Yeah, it's just very well finished. And then I gilded the front by putting gold leaf on it. You use a sizing that makes the gold leaf sticks to the substrate. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll print an image out on this Japanese paper. As you can see, it's really thin.
Is this
and you
sumi
can see
paper?
a Yusuki.
Yusuki.
Yeah, so it's really nice. And you can see the lines kind of come through it on the back side. So after I do that, what I'll do is I adhere it to here, and then I'll take a two-part epoxy. And the epoxy, when you start to mix it, it builds up a lot of heat and steam on it. And then when you apply it, everywhere that there's the light areas, the gold comes shining through, gold or silver. So after you let it settle, what you'll end up with
is something like this, which is amazing.
Yes.
And how do you come up with these images on here?
That's part of my art process. I just sit and like this one is more about the history of the city. You know, we're in the bicentennial area, but it's my interpretation of the city. It's music, it's you know, the culture, it's Mardi Gras. So I'm just, you know, I'm using maps and different things I'll draw. I'll take images and photograph them. I'll scan them. I'll do whatever inspires me or kind of whatever motivates me from whatever books I might be reading or anything about the city.
Well, I have to say your story is very inspiring. So you took something that was basically a negative and turned it into something positive. And I think that's a really great story, and I thank you for sharing that with us. So this show's about Jazz Fest. You will be at the Jazz Fest.
Yes.
Tell us about where you're going to be and what weekend you're going to be there.
Okay, I'll be at Jazz Fest the first weekend. I'm going to be over in Congo Square. I'm hoping to be somewhere on the path. We don't really know until we get there. Yeah, also this weekend I'll be have a show at Stella Jones Gallery.
Oh, Stella, she's one of my favorites. So you show at Stella's as well?
Yes.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So thank you for being here. Good luck to you and your career, and especially at Jazz Fest.
Thank you.
Guys, for more information on E. Paul Julian, you can visit his website at www.epauljulian.com. We'll be right back with a great DIY segment. With Mother's Day upon us, the show just wouldn't be complete without a visit from my good friend, Nate Winter, the Nola Pie Guy. I'm going to show you how to set the perfect Mother's Day tea, and then Nate's going to give us some great ideas for some tasty dessert. Nate, thank you for finally being on here.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Chet.
So, you know, right in the middle of Jazz Fest comes probably one of the most important holidays throughout the year is Mother's Day.
Absolutely.
So we cannot forget about our fellow guys that are going to be trying to create the perfect Mother's Day tea. I know that may be hard, but I think, Nate, we can help them do that.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Same here. So what we're going to do is when you set the perfect Mother's Day tea, guys, the first thing you want to do is you want to start off with a basic tablecloth. Now, although a lot of you guys may not have a tablecloth, a white sheet works just as well. So anything that's going to cover the table is going to be a big help. Once you do that, you want to be sure that you have some utensils. So you want to be sure that you can use any utensils that you already have. You don't have to go out and buy something. Just use the ones you have. And you want to set the table by having a cup and a saucer. Now, I know normally if you're having tea,
yeah, teacups. I don't know. I mean, I'm a single guy in a studio apartment. Teacups? Yeah. Not really on board.
Well, you don't need to use teacups. You can use coffee cups, because that's what we've done today. Use basically what you have. So use coffee cups. A traditional tea always starts out with, of course, tea, but also tea sandwiches. So traditional tea sandwiches are cucumber sandwiches, salmon sandwiches, and chicken and tuna salad.
Yep.
So I'm not that great of a cook, and I know a lot of you guys out there are not the same. So what I did is I just made some chicken and tuna salad sandwiches. It's really easy. It's not about putting in a lot of It's not about putting in a lot of stuff, just putting in a great effort. Somebody would really appreciate that. So after that's done, then you want to be sure that you add a special little touch to it. So what we do is you basically just get a rose. You take a rose, you break it up, and then you sprinkle the rose all around the table, and that just gives it just a little special feel to something that you've done to create the perfect Mother's Day tea for your mom, for your wife, or for that special one. But of course, Nate, every tea ends with great desserts. And so that's why we have you, Nola Pie Guy, Nate, here to talk to us about how you finish the perfect tea with the perfect desserts.
And I'm glad to be here. Now, I love what you did here because you made it simple. You made it where single guys that are mostly clueless about birthdays, Valentine's, Mother's Day especially, make it easy, make it simple.
That's a good point, Nate, because you can take what we've done here and you can use it for any holiday. It just doesn't have to be used just for Mother's Day.
That's right, that's right. So I'm gonna steal a couple of your ideas and what you were telling the folks at home and do it for the dessert section.
Okay.
So with like the tuna salad and chicken salad, you can buy a nice homemade chicken salad from your favorite deli, right? Scones, biscuits, the dessert part, the typical desserts, do the same thing.
Right.
I know a lot of people are scared of baking because they think it's a science and it's really frightening. Even people that like to cook, exactly, are scared to death of baking because they think it's an exact science. Doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Go get a nice scone, a nice biscuit from your favorite local bakery. And then what I'm going to teach y'all to do today is to make it that little something special. Do a homemade jam.
Okay. Well,
It's
how do you do
simple.
that? That doesn't sound simple, but okay, if you say so.
It's the easiest thing. It's 3 ingredients.
Okay.
So go to the market or your local grocery store, get whatever berries in season. I've got
Once
some
again,
blueberries
shop
today.
local. We want to be sure about that.
Always shop local. You're
Yes.
going to get the freshest ingredients. That's going to give you the best final product.
Right.
Show mom that you care. She deserves it. Be good. All right. So today I've got blueberries.
Okay.
Other 2 ingredients, half a lime and some sugar.
Okay, and so what do you do?
It's as simple as that. What I'm going to do is I've been draining. I rinsed all the berries, drain those. You're going to put them in a pot.
Right.
You're going to cover them with the sugar. And by the way, I don't have the exact measurements here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post them on your website and on my website, facebook.com/NolaPieGuy. So between now and Mother's Day, we're going to continually post recipes up to date each day for y'all to go and check and get more and more ideas between now and Mother's Day. Now, take the lemon juice, just squeeze half a lemon is all you need. Lemon or lime, anything with citrus. You want a nice strong citrus. I use limes because they don't have seeds.
Right.
So I don't have to strain out the seeds or anything.
Okay.
So take that, get a little spatula. You're gonna put this on a stovetop over about medium-high heat. And what you wanna do is just put in a thermometer, cook it to about 220 degrees.
Okay.
Take it out, strain it, not strain it because it's a jam. What you like is you like that texture.
Yeah,
you like
absolutely.
that getting the
I love
actual
that.
fruit. So what I've got here is some raspberry jam that I made earlier in the week to use, and then just can it. You can go to any grocery store, area market, buy some empty cans, sterilize them in the oven.
Right.
You want to put them in the oven at about 200 degrees for 10 minutes. That sterilizes them. Put the jam in here, put the lid on tight, turn it upside down so all the air goes to the bottom, let it set till it cools, and then it's as simple as a nice homemade handwritten tag to mom from your favorite son with love.
You thought of everything.
On this Mother's Day. And now what I did here is New Orleans is great about antique shops, right? Go to any antique shop, any kind of secondhand thing. I just found this little wrought iron basket. I know you're a big fan of upcycling.
Absolutely.
Here on Chet Chat.
Yep.
So what you do is just
He's
put
been
some,
watching.
Yeah. I'm a fan. So you just put some tissue paper in, make a couple of jars of jam, put your little to and from tag. It's something homemade for mom, something that lets her know that you care. And then when you're done with that, she's got the perfect basket for a recipe holder.
Perfect. Okay, we need to wrap up, but real quick, tell us about Nola Pie Guy. Where are you stationed?
Absolutely. Nola Pie Guy is a pop-up kiosk on Ferret Street in front of the new Dat Dog at 5030 Ferret. So you can go there every weekend. There's an outdoor European market that is set up, and I'm doing all the desserts for Dat Dog. So I've got homemade 4-inch pies, Belgian waffles, crepes, all made fresh to order, all from scratch, all with love.
Okay, well, Nate, we're gonna wrap up, but before we do, I thought we would have a little bit of tea. So if you would join me in making a toast to all the mothers out there, letting them know how much we appreciate them. So thank you for being on here. And moms, happy Mother's Day. Have a great day. Guys, we'll be right back. I hope you enjoyed today's show and get a chance to enjoy this year's Jazz Fest. I'd like to thank all of my guests for being here today. If you're a local business or an organization that would like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Chet Chat, it's simple. Just email me your suggestions at chetchatshow@gmail.com. For more information about this episode, just click on my website at www.chetpourciaudesign.com and click on my blog. Also, go to my website to enter a design makeover by yours truly. I'm Chet Pourciau, and I've got designs on New Orleans. See you guys next month.
Chet Chat is underwritten by the Law Office of Tim L. Fields and GalleryOsborne.com.